rebellious subjects, enemies to peace, profaners of this neighbor-stained steel. Will they not hear?
Welcome to the deep dive. You know, most people think of Romeo and Juliet as, well, the ultimate love story, right?
Classic romance.
Exactly. But when we really dug into the source material for you, the complete text, what kind of jumped out, wasn't just the poetry. It was the speed, the sheer horrifying speed of it all.
That's absolutely spot on. Our mission today really is to look at this play less like a romance novel and more like a runaway train.
Huh? A runaway train. I like that.
Yeah, we're tracing how Shakespeare builds this sense of structural compression. It's how he just piles disaster on disaster so fast the characters, well, they barely have a second to think, let alone breathe.
And that speed, that velocity is maybe the real engine of the tragedy.
Precisely. It's what drives them to their doom.
And Shakespeare, he's not exactly subtle about where it's all going, is he?
Not at all. No suspense needed. Right out of the gate, the prologue, the chorus, basically spoils the entire plot.
It's almost like a spoiler alert from 400 years ago.
It really is. He tells the audience, look, don't worry about if they die. Focus on the how and the why. We get the two households, both alike in dignity, the ancient grudge, the new mutiny.
And then the punchline, a pair of star-crossed lovers take their life, whose death, by the way, is the only thing that will bury their parents' strife.
So the ending is fixed. It changes everything for the audience. It's not a whodunit, it's a howdunit.
Or maybe a whydunit. You watch it unfold with this sense of, like, dread. They even call it the fearful passage of their death-marked love.
Knowing the end means every little mistake, every impulsive decision, every bit of just plain bad luck, it feels inevitable, like watching dominoes fall.
It creates this almost suffocating feeling, doesn't it? You know, the only way out for the families is through the kids' deaths.
Exactly. So your focus shifts. You start analyzing the path they take, the character flaws, the moments of, human error that lead straight to that tomb scene.
And that path, it starts, 5 minutes in, not with the big lords, but with servants.
Yeah, Capulet servants, Samson and Gregory on the street,
Yeah.
immediately looking for trouble. It's genius, really.
Why genius?
Because it shows the hatred isn't just like high-level politics between the Capulets and Montagues. It's systemic. It's baked into the culture of Verona, right down to the lowest levels.
And they're not just arguing. They're talking about violence, crude jokes. Samson boasts about how he'll thrust his maids to the wall.
And the fight itself, it kicks off over basically nothing. Biting a thumb.
Such a trivial, aggressive gesture, a sign of disgrace, the text says.
It's pure posturing. Until, of course, the actual Montagues, Abram and Balthazar, show up. Then the talk stops and the swords come out. Instantly.
And the escalation just ramps up. Benvolio, his name means goodwill, right? He tries to break it up.
He tells them, "Part fools, put up your swords." He's a peacemaker. But the moment he draws his sword to keep the peace, who shows up?
Tybalt, of course.
The agent of chaos. Tybalt is the embodiment of that ancient grudge. He doesn't just hate Montagues. He seems to hate the very idea of peace, at least where Montagues are concerned.
When Benvolio asks him to help stop the fight, Tybalt's reaction is just chilling.
Completely. What, drawn and talk of peace? I hate the word, as I hate hell, all Montagues and thee. For Tybalt, peace is weakness. He is fundamentally against any kind of reconciliation.
He's like a human wrecking ball.
Shakespeare keeps him in his pocket, ready to smash things up whenever things get too calm, and his appearance, predictably, brings out the big authority figure.
Prince Aeschylus. And he is not happy.
Furious. He points out this is the third time their feud has spilled onto the streets, the third civil brawl, and he lays down the law, a rule that hangs over the whole play.
This is huge, structurally.
It's the political time bomb. The prince declares, loud and clear, "If ever you disturb our streets again, your lives shall pay the forfeit of the peace."
Immediate death penalty for fighting in the streets.
Think about that. Before Romeo has even met Juliet, before any of the main love story starts, Shakespeare puts this loaded gun on the table. Any future fight automatically means catastrophe. The stakes are maxed out from the very beginning.
Okay, so the stage is set, the rules are clear. Now we meet Romeo. But the Romeo we meet first isn't, the great lover. He's moping.
He really is. He's this melancholy, almost petulant teenager obsessed with Rosaline.
We don't even see him at first, right? We hear about him from his dad.
Right. Montague describes him hiding in the woods, locking himself in his room, shutting out the daylight to make an artificial night. It's very dramatic. He's performing sadness.
And the way he talks about this love for Rosaline, it's not exactly simple, is it? All those famous contradictions.
The oxymorons. They're brilliant poetry, but they tell you so much about the state of his love. Oh, brawling love. Oh, loving hate. Oh, heavy lightness. Serious vanity.
Feather of lead, bright smoke, cold fire, sick health. Why does he talk like that?
Because the love isn't real, not in a practical sense. It's all in his head. It's defined by how canful and out of reach it is. It's theoretical. The friar nails it later. He's just reading by rote, like he learned about love from a book.
And Rosaline herself reinforces that, doesn't she? She's sworn off love, sworn to chastity.
Exactly. She has Diane's wit. Diana, the virgin goddess. She lives uncharmed by Cupid's arrow. So Romeo isn't really in love with her. He's in love with the idea of being the suffering poet she allows him to be.
It's like intense feeling without any actual risk or connection. Safe sadness.
Performative sorrow, yeah.
Yeah.
But how does this groomy kid end up crashing the enemy's party? Pure chance.
Yeah.
Hilarious structural bad luck.
Right, Lord Capulet decides to throw a feast, sends a servant out with the guest list.
A servant who can't read.
Which is just perfect. And who does he bump into? Romeo, wandering around feeling sorry for himself.
And the servant, a Capulet servant, asks Romeo, a Montague, to read the list for him. And who's on the list?
My fair niece, Rosaline. So Romeo decides to go basically just to see her and be miserable in a crowd.
But Benvolio, ever the practical friend, sees an opening. He pushes Romeo to go, not just to see Rosaline, but to check out other women.
Yeah, he says, go examine other beauties, compare Rosaline to them. He promises Romeo he'll see that his swan is actually a crow.
So they decide to crash the party. But before they go in, we get Mercutio and that incredible Queen Mab speech.
Oh, it's amazing. So much detail. The fairy queen, tiny, riding in a hazelnut shell.
Her little wagon pulled by atomies, spokes made of spider legs, driving over lovers' brains, lawyers' fingers, ladies' lips, making them dream of their desires.
It's this explosion of fantasy. But what's the point of it structurally? Is it just Mercutio showing off?
Partly, yes, he's witty, but it's also a crucial delay. And Mercutio's point is basically the opposite of fantasy. He ends by saying Queen Mab and dreams themselves are the children of an idle brain, born of vain fantasy, nothing more.
So he's the voice of realism, cynicism, maybe.
Exactly. He's trying to puncture Romeo's romantic delusions. He's saying, snap out of it, kid. This poetic stuff is nonsense.
Which Romeo, naturally, completely ignores.
Totally ignores, because right before they enter, he gets that sudden feeling of dread, that premonition.
I fear too early, for my mind misgives some consequence yet hanging in the stars. He feels like something terrible is about to start tonight.
It's his last little nod to fate before he just dives in headfirst. He senses the danger, but he goes anyway. He feels powerless.
And then, Act I, Scene V, the party, the moment he sees Juliet.
And poof. Rosalind who? Gone. Instantly erased.
Vaporized is a good word. He sees Juliet across the room and it's like a switch flips. All that mopey poetry about Rosalind just vanishes.
His whole language changes. No more oxymorons. Now it's pure, focused, almost religious awe. Did my heart love till now? Forswear its sight, for I ne'er saw true beauty till this night.
He calls her a rich jewel in an Ethiop's ear. So vivid.
And their first conversation, think about this, their very first words exchanged on stage form a perfect sonnet. 14 lines shared between them.
That's incredible. It signals like instant connection, perfect harmony.
Structurally brilliant. He's the pilgrim. She's the holy shrine.
Yeah.
They use all this religious imagery to talk about, well, kissing.
He wants to purge his sin with a kiss. She takes the sin onto her lips.
So he needs a second kiss to take the sin back. It's witty, it's intense, it's immediate, and she even acknowledges how smooth it is. You kiss by the book.
But even as this perfect little sonnet is unfolding, the real world intrudes, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Tybalt's there. He hears Romeo's voice, recognizes him instantly as a Montague, and he is furious, wants his sword immediately.
He says this intrusion, which seems sweet now, will convert to bitter gall. He's already plotting revenge.
Tybalt is that constant threat, the ancient grudge personified, ready to crash the party. Literally.
But Lord Capulet stops him, right? Ironically.
Yeah, Capulet for a moment plays the peacekeeper. He tells Tybalt to leave Romeo alone, calls Romeo a virtuous and well-governed youth. But in telling Tybalt off, calling him a saucy boy, he fuels Tybalt's anger even more.
So Tybalt stalks off, vowing revenge later. And then Romeo and Juliet find out who the other one is.
The hammer blow. They ask the nurse, separately. Romeo finds out she's the daughter of the house, Capulet. His reaction, my life is my foe's debt.
My life belongs to my enemy. Instantly sees the crisis.
And Juliet gets the news about him being Romeo, a Montague. Her lines close the act, summing up the whole impossible situation. My only love sprung from my only hate. Too early seen unknown and known too late.
And that's just day one. Met, fallen in love, discovered their mortal enemies. The speed is already dizzying. Okay, so day two begins, Act 2, and the pace somehow picks up even more. We get the balcony scene, arguably the most famous scene in English literature.
But even before that iconic moment, Shakespeare again shows us the disconnect between the lovers and the world outside.
How so?
We see Mercutio and Benvolio out in the street again, looking for Romeo, who ditched them after the party. And what are they doing?
Still making fun of him about Rosalind.
Exactly. They have no idea. They're trying to conjure him using Rosalind's name, her eyes, her forehead. They're completely out of the loop. His obsession switched targets hours ago.
It really highlights how secret their relationship is from the start. It exists in this bubble.
A very fragile bubble. It has no support system, no buffer against the hate swirling around them in Verona, which Juliet understands immediately when she appears on the balcony.
That famous speech. "Oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo?"
She's not asking where he is, right? She's asking why he has to be Romeo Montague.
Precisely. Deny thy father and refuse thy name. She gets right to the heart of the problem. It's just a name, an arbitrary label.
What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. She sees the feud for the meaningless construct it is.
She does. But crucially, even as she's falling deeper in love, she's the one who recognizes the danger of their speed.
Right. She worries their connection is too rash, too unadvised, too sudden.
She compares it to lightning flashing brightly for a second, then gone before you can even say it lightens. She instinctively feels the instability of this sudden, intense passion.
And yet, despite that worry, what does she do?
She pushes the accelerator. She demands proof. If his intentions are honorable, if his bent of love is true, he needs to arrange the marriage.
And she sets a deadline. The very specific deadline. Send word by 9 o'clock the next morning. That deadline dictates the entire frantic pace of Act 2.
So Romeo naturally runs off immediately to find help, which leads him to Friar Lawrence.
Act 2, Scene 3. And the friar's introduction is just dripping with foreshadowing. He's out gathering herbs at dawn.
Talking about how plants can be both medicinal and poisonous.
And how even virtue, good intentions, can turn to vice if they're misapplied. It's like a giant flashing warning sign for his own role in the play.
And then Romeo bursts in, completely over Rosaline, bubbling about Juliet.
And asks the friar to marry them. Today.
The friar can't believe it. His reaction is priceless.
Utterly incredulous. Holy St. Francis, what a change is here. He points out Romeo was just weeping over Rosaline yesterday. Young men's love then lies not truly in their hearts, but in their eyes.
He calls him out on his fickleness. He can still see the tear stains from Rosaline on Romeo's cheeks.
Yeah, he sees the immaturity.
Yeah.
Which makes his next decision so debatable.
He agrees to do it. Why? He just pointed out Romeo is fickle and driven by looks.
It's not because he believes in their love, is it? He says it himself. He hopes their alliance may so happy prove to turn your household's rancor to pure love.
So it's a political gamble. He's using these kids, basically.
He's using their impulsive love as a tool to try and fix Verona's ancient hatred. It's a noble goal, maybe, but talk about virtue being misapplied. He's risking everything on them.
And Romeo is just frantic to get it done. "Oh, let us hence, I stand on sudden haste."
And the friar gives him that famous, deeply ironic advice. Wisely and slow, they stumble that run fast. The one piece of advice they absolutely do not follow.
So the wedding is set for that afternoon, but things are happening outside their little bubble, too.
Big things. In the very next scene, Act 2, Scene 3, Mercutio and Benvolio are talking again, and they reveal Tybalt has sent a formal challenge to Romeo's house.
A letter challenging Romeo to a duel.
Yep. Because Romeo crashed the party. The threat from Tybalt isn't just lingering, it's actively escalating. Mercutio mocks Tybalt's fighting style, calls him the Prince of Cats, this precise, formal duelist who fights by the book of arithmetic. But the threat is real.
While Romeo is planning his wedding, Tybalt is planning to kill him. The tension is racking up.
And then we get that wonderful, frustrating scene with Juliet waiting for the nurse.
Oh, the agony. Juliet sent her at 9. It's now noon. She's losing her mind. "Love's herald should be thoughts," she says, wishing news could travel instantly.
And the nurse finally shows up, but instead of giving the news, she complains about her aching bones, her breathlessness. Fie, how my bones ache. What a jaunt have I had.
It's funny, but you're just screaming, "Tell her."
It's necessary comic relief? Maybe. But it highlights the painful contrast between Juliet's desperate urgency and the slowness of the real world. The nurse physically embodies the slow part of wisely and slow, but it's driving Juliet crazy.
But she finally spills the beans. Go to Friar Lawrence's cell this afternoon, pretend it's for confession.
And you'll be married. Plus, Romeo has arranged for a rope ladder, the tackled stair, so he can climb up to her room for their wedding night.
The plan is set. Everything is falling into place incredibly quickly.
Which leads us to Act 2, Scene 6, the wedding. Which happens offstage, interestingly.
Why offstage?
Shakespeare doesn't want to slow down. The ceremony isn't the point. The consequences are we just get the friar's final warning right before they go in.
One other warning. He seems to do that a lot.
He does. He warns them again about the intensity. These violent delights have violent ends, and in their triumph, die, like fire and powder.
Fire and powder. That's explosive imagery.
He sees their love as inherently unstable, too intense to sustain. He advises them one last time, therefore love moderately. Long love doth so. Too swift arrives as tardy is too slow.
Love moderately, right.
And then he rushes them off. Come with me, and we will make short work. And boom, they're married. End of day 2. Met less than 24 hours ago, now husband and wife. This speed is just breathtaking.
And that breathtaking speed, that violent delight, crashes immediately into violent ends. Act 3. The climax arrives almost instantly after the wedding.
It's maybe an hour later. The structural compression is just brutal. The highest point, the secret marriage, is immediately followed by the catastrophe in the street.
It starts with Benvolio again, sensing trouble. It's hot, the Capulets are out, mad blood stirring. He wants to get off the streets.
But Mercutio's having none of it. He's spoiling for a confrontation, ironically accusing Benvolio of being quick to quarrel. And then Tybalt arrives.
Still angry about the party, still looking for Romeo.
Mercutio immediately baits him, mocks his fancy fencing, alla staccata, calls him king of cats again, trying to provoke him.
And then Romeo shows up, fresh from his wedding, secretly related to Tybalt now.
Which makes the situation impossible. Romeo tries to de-escalate. He tells Tybalt he has a reason to love him now, that he values the Capulet name. Good Capulet. Be satisfied.
But he can't say why. He can't reveal the marriage. So to everyone else, especially Mercutio, it just looks like cowardice.
Exactly. Mercutio is disgusted. Oh, calm, dishonorable, vile submission. He draws his own sword, thinking he has to defend the Montague honor because Romeo won't.
Mercutio steps in. He fights Tybalt. And then Romeo makes that fatal mistake.
The ultimate tragic intervention. He tries to stop them. He steps between them, yelling, "Hold, friends! Friends, part!"
And in doing so,
he inadvertently gives Tybalt the opening. Tybalt stabs Mercutio under Romeo's arm. Romeo's attempt to make peace directly leads to his friend's death.
Mercutio's dying lines are just devastating. A scratch, a scratch. Marry, 'tis enough. And then,
"A plague of both your houses!" He curses the entire feud, Capulet and Montague alike. He sees the source of the tragedy, and he dies condemning it.
And Mercutio's death just flips a switch in Romeo.
All that talk of peace is gone. He feels his love for Juliet has made him effeminate, weak. Now his fire-eyed fury taking over. He challenges Tybalt.
And this time, he fights to kill.
He does. He slays Tybalt. And the second Tybalt falls, Romeo realizes what he's done. He's broken the prince's law. Oh, I am fortune's fool.
He knows immediately the consequences will be dire. And they are.
Lady Capulet demands Romeo's death. Benvolio tries to explain it was self-defense, or rather revenge, for Mercutio.
But the prince is caught. Tybalt killed his kinsman, Mercutio. Romeo then killed Tybalt. He has to act.
But he shows a degree of leniency. Because Romeo technically enforced the law on Tybalt for killing Mercutio, the sentence isn't death. It's exile. Banishment.
Immediately we do exile him hence. If he's ever found in Verona again, he dies.
And that one word, banished, becomes the new engine driving the tragedy forward.
Juliet hears the news from the nurse. At first she thinks Romeo is dead. Then, when she finds out he killed Tybalt, she lashes out. Oh, serpent heart hid with a flowering face.
That conflict is so raw, but she quickly snaps back, defending her husband. Tybalt would have killed Romeo if he hadn't killed Tybalt first. Her loyalty shifts instantly.
But the despair settles on that word, banished.
She says that single word is worse than death. That banished, that one word banished, has slain 10,000 Tybalts. It kills her father, her mother, Tybalt, Romeo, herself, everything in her mind.
Meanwhile, Romeo is having a complete meltdown over at the friar's.
Complete meltdown is right. The friar tells him the gentler judgment is banishment, not death. And Romeo sees it as worse than death. Mantua is purgatory, torture, hell itself.
He says even flies are luckier because they can touch Juliet and he can't. He's
on the floor, weeping, wanting to kill himself, just completely losing it. until the friar steps in again.
This is where the friar really gives him that verbal smackdown.
Yeah, a fantastic speech. He calls Romeo's tears womanish, his actions like an unreasonable fury of a beast. He tells him he's misusing his gifts, his shate, his love, his wit.
Like powder in a skillless soldier's flask exploding through ignorance.
It's harsh, but it's what Romeo needs to hear. The friar snaps him out of it, reminds him Juliet is alive, that he's alive, that the law showed mercy, and he comes up with a plan.
The Mantua plan.
Right. Go see Juliet tonight. Comfort her. Consummate the marriage. But then, before dawn, flee to Mantua. Stay there. Lie low. And the friar will work behind the scenes.
Wait for the right time to blaze your marriage, reconcile your friends, beg pardon of the prince, and call thee back.
It's a plan. It requires patience, discretion, time.
The three things Romeo and Juliet seem completely incapable of.
Precisely. It's a logical plan, but it relies on the lovers fundamentally changing their nature. Which, spoiler alert, they don't. The plan is doomed from the start because of who they are.
And while that fragile plan is being formed, the pressure cooker gets turned up again. Back at the Capulet house. This is still day 3, right? Monday night, technically.
Yes, the day of the deaths. And Lord Capulet makes another impulsive, disastrous decision.
He sees Juliet weeping.
And assumes she's just devastated about Tybalt.
Yeah.
He has no idea she's crying for her banished husband.
So his solution to cheer her up.
Marry her off immediately to County Paris. He decides right then and there that the wedding will be on Thursday. He tells Paris he's nothing slow to slack his haste.
Another rash decision made out of grief and misunderstanding. It's like impulsivity is contagious in this play.
It really is. And Capulet's haste directly conflicts with Juliet's secret marriage and Romeo's banishment. It forces the crisis.
When Juliet hears about it, she resists. Gently at first, then more firmly. I will not marry yet.
And Capulet just explodes. The patriarchal rage is terrifying. He calls her baggage, a disobedient wretch, a tallow face.
He threatens to throw her out, hang, beg, starve, die in the streets if she doesn't obey him.
It's brutal. And it leaves Juliet utterly alone. Her mother offers no help, so she turns to her last hope, the nurse.
Surely the nurse will help her confidant.
Nope, total betrayal. The nurse gives her purely practical, worldly advice. Paris is a better match, richer, better looking. Romeo's a dish clout to him. Since Romeo's banished, he's as good as dead anyway. Just marry Paris.
Oh, that's crushing.
Juliet feels it instantly. Ancient damnation, oh most wicked fiend. She cuts the nurse off completely in her heart. Now she truly has no one.
Which forces her hand. If all else fail, myself have power to die.
She heads straight back to Friar Lawrence. Act 4 begins. She runs into Paris there, who's already making wedding plans.
She has to talk to him, knowing she's secretly married and planning, well, something drastic.
She handled it with incredible doublespeak, telling Paris what must be shall be, letting him think she means the marriage while she's probably thinking of her death.
And when Paris leaves, she tells the friar point blank if he can't help her, she'll kill herself right there with a knife.
This bloody knife shall play the empire. She means it. The friar is cornered. His previous actions have led directly to this moment.
So he comes up with the plan. The big, complicated, incredibly risky potion plan.
The ultimate gamble. He gives her a vial. She has to go home, pretend to agree to marry Paris, make sure she sleeps alone, then drink the potion.
And it will make her appear dead.
For 42 hours. Exactly. She'll seem cold, breathless, no pulse. They'll bury her in the Capulet family vault.
And meanwhile,
the friar will send a letter to Romeo in Mantua explaining everything. Romeo will come back, be there in the tomb when Juliet wakes up, and they'll escape together to Mantua.
What could possibly go wrong?
Everything, as it turns out. But the first thing that goes wrong happens immediately. Juliet goes home, puts on a show of repentance, apologizes to her father.
And Capulet is so overjoyed.
He moved the wedding up from Thursday to Wednesday morning? Tomorrow.
No, that cuts down the time buffer.
Exactly. It compresses the timeline dangerously. The friar's plan relied on that extra day. Now everything is rushed.
So Julia has to take the potion that night, Tuesday night, and her soliloquy before she drinks it. It's terrifying.
It really is. She's alone, facing this vial, and she confronts her deepest fears. This isn't some impulsive teenager now. This is someone staring into the abyss.
What are the fears?
First, what if the potion doesn't work at all? Then she'll have to marry Paris tomorrow. She puts a dagger beside her, just in case. Second, what if the friar secretly gave her actual poison to cover his own tracks? Avoid the dishonor of marrying her twice.
She dismisses that one, though, right? Trusts he's a holy man.
She does. But the third fear is the most visceral. What if she wakes up early in the tomb, before Romeo gets there?
Alone, in the dark, surrounded by
bones, skulls, the festering shroud of her cousin Tybalt, who's only just been buried, the smell, the shrieks like mandrakes torn out of the earth. She fears she'll go mad.
But they grab an ancestor's bone and dash her brains out. It's pure horror.
Gothic horror. But her love for Romeo overcomes the terror. She toasts him. Here's drink, I drink to thee, and drinks. Incredible bravery, really.
And the next morning, Wednesday morning, day 4.
The nurse finds her. Chaos ensues. Wedding music turns to funeral dirges. Capulet delivers that beautiful line, "Death lies on her like an untimely frost upon the sweetest flower." He calls death his son-in-law.
The friar shows up, tells him to stop weeping, she's in heaven, prepare her for the vault. He needs her in the tomb for his plan to work.
And so Juliet, seemingly dead, is carried to the Capulet monument. The stage is set for the final act.
Act V, everything unravels. And it's this tragic mix of bad timing, bad luck, and that fatal impulsiveness again.
It starts with Romeo in Mantua. He's actually feeling cheerful for once. He had a dream.
Oh, the irony. What did he dream?
He dreamt that Juliet found him dead, but revived him with kisses, and he became an emperor, a dream of love conquering death.
Just as his servant Balthazar arrives with news.
The exact opposite. Balthazar saw Juliet being placed in the tomb. He doesn't know about the plan. He just reports what he saw. Her body sleeps in Capul's monument.
He delivers the wrong news, basically, the fatal news.
And Romeo's reaction is instantaneous. No questions asked, no thought of checking with the friar, just immediate defiance. "Then I defy you, stars."
He decides his course right then and there. Suicide.
He immediately sets out to find an apothecary, someone poor enough to risk selling him illegal, deadly poison. Soon speeding gear. He's already on his way back to Verona to die beside Juliet.
His impulsiveness kicks in again. He doesn't wait. He doesn't verify. He just acts.
And that action seals their fate. Because even as Romeo's buying poison, the friar's plan is hitting its own snag. A completely unforeseen one.
Well, letter doesn't get through. Why not?
Friar John, the messenger, comes back to Friar Lawrence. He explains he went to find another friar to accompany him, but health officials, suspecting plague in the house they were visiting,
Oh, no.
sealed the doors, quarantined them, wouldn't let them out. So Friar John couldn't get to Mantua, couldn't deliver the letter.
So it's literally the plague or fear of the plague that stops the message. That's fate intervening with a vengeance.
Slow, implacable fate. The infectious pestilence. It's the ultimate cruel twist of bad luck, derailing the friar's intricate plan.
Friar Lawrence is horrified. He realizes Juliet will wake up alone in the tomb in a few hours. He has to get there himself.
But he's too late. Romeo beats him there. Romeo, driven by grief and that deadly poison, arrives at the Capulet monument under cover of night.
But he's not the only one there.
Paris is there too, scattering flowers, mourning his would-be bride. He sees Romeo, recognizes him as the banished killer of Tybalt, and tries to arrest him.
Romeo warns him off. Tempt not a desperate man. He doesn't want more bloodshed.
But Paris insists. They fight. Romeo kills Paris.
Another death, and Paris's last request.
To be laid in the tomb next to Juliet, which Romeo, seeing his face and perhaps feeling a pang of shared grief, grants him.
Then Romeo enters the tomb proper. He sees Juliet.
And here's the most heartbreaking moment of dramatic irony in the entire play. He looks at her lying there, and he notices.
She doesn't look dead.
Exactly. He says, "Beauty's ensign is still crimson in thy lips and in thy cheeks. Death hasn't conquered her beauty."
He sees the signs of life returning as the potion wears off.
And tragically misinterprets it as her beauty defying death itself. If only he'd waited just a few more minutes.
But he doesn't wait.
He gives his final speech, kisses her one last time, and drinks the poison. "O true apothecary, thy drugs are quick. Thus with a kiss I die." He collapses.
And moments later.
Juliet stirs. She wakes up just as Friar Lawrence arrives, finally.
Terrible timing. What does she see?
The friar, looking terrified. And then Romeo, dead beside her. And Paris, too. The friar quickly explains Romeo's dead, Paris, too, urges her to come away. The watch is coming. He'll hide her in a sisterhood of nuns.
But Juliet.
She won't leave Romeo. The friar, hearing the noise of the approaching watch, panics and flees. He abandons her. Again.
Leaving Juliet alone in the tomb with the bodies.
She sees the cup in Romeo's hand, realizes he poisoned himself. She kisses his lips, hoping some poison remains. Haply some poison yet doth hang on them.
But there isn't enough. His lips are still warm. He died only moments ago.
So she sees his dagger. "O happy dagger, this is thy sheath." She stabs herself, falling onto Romeo's body. "There rest and let me die."
Just absolute devastation. And the watch arrives, finds the scene. Then the prince, the Capulets, Montague.
Friar Lawrence is caught and brought back. He tells the whole story. The secret marriage, Tybalt's death, the banishment, the potion, the undelivered letter, everything.
And the prince draws the final conclusion.
He points directly at the feuding parents. See what a scourge is laid upon your hate, that heaven finds means to kill your joys with love. He acknowledges his own failure, too, for letting the feud simmer, losing his own relatives, Mercutio and Paris. All are punished.
And finally, the parents get it.
Faced with the bodies of their children, Capulet and Montague take hands. The feud ends. They promise to raise gold statues in honor of Romeo and true and faithful Juliet.
Peace is achieved. But the price was absolute, the complete destruction of the young lovers.
So wrapping this up, thinking about the key takeaways for you, listen, I mean, the main thing has to be the structure, right? This relentless crushing speed.
Absolutely. That structural compression is everything. Think about it again. The whole tragedy unfolds in about 4 days. Maybe 5 at the absolute outside, depending on how you count. Day 1, street fight, meet at the party. Day 2, balcony scene, secret marriage, duel, banishment. Day 3, wedding night, Paris marriage plan, potion plan taken. Day 4, Juliet dies, Romeo hears wrong news, rushes back, tomb scene, double suicide. Maybe day 5 is the discovery and reconciliation. It's just nuts.
And the friar's constant advice, wisely and slow, love moderately. It becomes the central irony. Their absolute refusal or inability to do that is what guarantees their doom.
And the failure, it seems like it has 2 prongs. There's the external fate stuff.
Right, the star-crossed element. The plague outbreaks stopping Friar John's letter. You could call that pure bad luck. External forces moving slowly, messing things up.
But then there's the internal stuff, the human choices.
Exactly. Paired with that slow fate is the incredibly fast, impulsive human error. Romeo hears Juliet is dead and immediately buys poison. He doesn't wait, doesn't check, doesn't think. He acts. And that ensures the friar's plan, even if the letter had been delayed, had no chance.
So it's both fate and haste.
It's the collision of the two. Their own impatience, their need to run fast, guarantees they stumble right when fate trips them up. The friar was right from the start. They stumbled at run fast.
It really is the ultimate tragic lesson about the danger of speed.
Which leads us to maybe a final thought for you to chew on. We talked about the prince's decree, Romeo's banishment. What if? What if the prince, back in Act 3, had made a different choice?
How so?
What if he'd shown mercy, perhaps, or maybe stricter justice, and banished Tybalt after the initial brawl or after Mercutio's death instead of Romeo? If Romeo hadn't been banished, would the ancient grudge still have found a way to crush their love?
Or was their love itself, as Juliet worried, always too rash, too unadvised, too sudden? Was it always doomed to burn out, regardless of the feud or the prince's actions? Maybe that impulsiveness, that intensity, maybe that was the real star-crossed element all along. Something to think about.